We are all a sum total of our thoughts. We are what we believe, and this in turn determines the possibilities of our lives. Today's episode will demonstrate that the only limitation that exists in life is in the mind. Whatever challenges you face, you can overcome and achieve those dreams. You're watching Stories Untold. My name is Pule Mulebatsi. Let us follow the story of Jonathan Mabwe.
I'm Jonathan Mabwe. I'm 29 years old of age. I run a company, two companies. First company by the name of Blackbeard, second company called Blackbeard. What we do is we supply grooming products for men's beards and hair care. Blackbeard supplies products for females and their hairline and their hair. I'm also a video editor, director and producer. My highest level of education is grade 2. I've not seen a classroom since grade 2. My school has been me learning from life, learning from the streets, learning from my Bible. I came from a good support background. My mom was a very hard worker. My dad was a very hard worker. And we lived what I would call a perfect life. But due to the divorce, when the separation happened and my dad went to the UK and I was left with my mom, a whole lot of challenges started to happen. We basically lost everything. At the time, I think I was in grade 2. I was in grade 2, yes. I was supposed to go to grade 3 the next year, but then that's the year when everything went south. And I think for about a year, we lived in the car, just driving from place to place, you know, when my mom still had the car. Eventually, my mom lost the car and we were left homeless for a while. And survival was pretty tough because my mom had to find ways of making money without going into prostitution or things that, you know, would take away from her being a woman of God, pastor and stuff like that. And all she knew to do was to sell Bibles, you know. So I remember us being in Hillbrow, Yeovil, all those areas around there. She tried to keep us living good for a while, so we stayed in the south for a bit, from place to place. But I never remember being in a position where we stayed more than 2 months in a place. We always moved up and down. I knew it hit rock bottom when we got to Hillbrow now, and I was put in a space where I'm not used to this place. I'm not used to the people. We're all at home. We're not going to school. I was very vigilant of the situation. I could see how my mom was trying her best without the support of anybody. My mom sacrificed everything to make sure that we had what we needed. And yeah, that's when she fell pregnant with my first baby, my baby brother. And that time I was supposed to go to grade 3 when she fell pregnant. And after my mom fell pregnant, I didn't even need my mom to tell me what the situation was or what was going on. I could see the situation for myself at the time. So I approached my mom and I said to her, listen, you carry on selling Bibles. As soon as the baby's born, I'm going to take care of my baby brother. Let my sisters go as far as they can with their schooling.
Jonathan made the ultimate sacrifice for his brother, but life dealt him an even harsher blow. Even as a child, he had to solve grown-up problems, but he found his strength.
I remember times when they would lock the room and I would have to, would be all outside, and I would walk around having to find, you know, people that I knew around to say, listen, can we just sit here for the time being? My mom will be back soon. You know, there's people who would help and stuff like that until my mom would come back and then sort everything out for us to get back in. My baby brother, I'm very, he's very close to my heart because I learned everything. So it was tough because I'm a child and he's a child. So he's crying and I'm crying. And I don't know what to do. I don't know that it's okay, he needs to eat now, it's time to change the nappy, but it's things that I learned, you know. And I remember when cloth nappies would run out or the nappies would run out, I knew how to fold an old t-shirt and dress my brother up, take a plastic bag, a normal checkers plastic bag, and cut out to fit in, and, you know, just to make sure that, you know, to keep things moving. I had to be their father figure. Lead them in the right way.
He became a pillar in my life. I've always said, God, thank you for that child.
He was there for me more than my own father because he took care of me at a time where I wasn't even aware of what I was doing. And that in itself is very big because he sacrificed his time to go to school to take care of me.
It was very painful. It was very painful to have to pretend to be going to school and, hide yourself in the house. And when other kids come back, then that's when you show yourself. And, there's a lot that I missed out on. Because it was my normal, because that was my normal, I don't think I thought too much of it. I always had faith that things would get better. I always had faith that I would go back to school.
Sometimes life throws us in the gutter, but for Jonathan, he started to look into the stars and he found light in the darkness.
All I had at the time was like this little stereo, which I would listen to, and by then that's when I would hear about the big things that are happening in the world out there. That's when I got introduced, or that's when I found out about DJ Spoo. He was a DJ at the time, and he spoke about staying on a golf estate. He spoke about driving good cars. He spoke about being a hustler. He spoke about all these type of things, and I took from a lot of what he would say in his interviews and stuff like that, and I used it to sort of drive, myself. So as much as I was in that situation, I was very strong internally.
We can only go as far as we think and believe. The power of possibilities began to ignite within his heart. However, he needed to overcome one hurdle.
I remember going to my mom and saying, I can't read. I've been sitting at home all this time and I can't read. And that's when my mom gave me one of the Bibles that she used to sell, and she said, listen, take this Bible and read it back to front. By the time you finish reading this Bible, you'll know how to read. My mom's a woman of faith, so that's how she speaks. So I took the Bible and I started very slowly from Genesis, where in the beginning, very slowly, because obviously I couldn't read, God created the heavens and the earth, and during the time of taking care of my brother, that was my thing. When he was sleeping, I was out there reading my Bible. I found a scripture in the Bible that I think that for me, that was my turning point. Mark 11:23 says, for verily I say unto you that whosoever shall say to this mountain, be removed and throw yourself into the sea, but shall not doubt in his heart, but believe that things he says will happen, that person will have whatever they say. So I took it in the sense of, I'm not educated, and so for verily I say unto you that whosoever, meaning I don't need an education, I don't need to rely on government, I don't need to rely on anything, but if I can speak life into my situation and do not doubt what I say, but believe that what I say will happen, I will have whatever I say. And at about 16 years old, that's when I told my mom that, listen, I found something in this Bible that you gave me, and I want to go test it out in the world. I want to go try it out. I want to go see if it works. And I left the house at the age of 16, 17.
Welcome back to Stories Untold. Jonathan experienced a tough childhood, but he never made excuses for himself. In fact, he learned to master his reality. The possibilities of his dream and destiny began to awaken and blossom. Let's have a look.
Jonathan left home to start a new chapter in his life, and the church would become the opening pages of a destiny to be fulfilled.
Rhema Church was such a comforting ground, because not only did it just enforce everything that I believed in, but it was a place where I could escape to go and forget about everything else. On Sundays, I could be amongst other young people, things that I never had in school. I could get to have friends and stuff like that, and volunteer. So that's when everything sort of started kicking off for me, and that's when I was curious now about who does the Rhema News, the TV stuff, the production, behind the scenes things. And I met a guy by the name of Charles Tagg, and he told me that, listen, I always see you here, you always here behind the scenes, walking around, doing stuff. Don't you want to come through during the week and see what we do? And I said, yeah, I would love to. I've actually been curious about this TV production stuff, and I came through in the week. And Joe is the person I basically sat with for a whole week and watched him shoot, watched him edit, watched him, like how we went about production. There was another guy who was an editor at the time who would sort of be floppy with his work. And I was always just waiting like a hound in the background for an opportunity to jump and get into the production space. So within that very month, he didn't make it to work once, and I was there. And I went in there on YouTube. I'm busy editing, and at the same time, I'm looking at tutorials, trying to learn how this TV production thing works. And I did the edit and I finished it. And that's when the team came through, Charles Tagg and the team, they came in and were like, listen, it normally takes him a month to do this. It's taken you a day. You know, wouldn't you want a job here? And that's when I finally got my first crack, you know, to having an income to support my family. At some point, Rayma went through a bit of a hectic place where they were retrenching people, and obviously thinking that I'm the first one who's out, you know, because I don't have an education, and, you know, I started looking for other things to do. When I was at that company, I went to the owner of the company, and before, like, everyone would tell me, don't go there because, you know, they want people with like certificates and, you know, qualifications and stuff. But I went there as soon as I got there. Before you could ask for anything else, I said, I'm not looking for a job, I'm looking for work. I want to work. And then they gave me something to do. And I remember editing that show and finishing it and catching a taxi, you know, back. And that's when he called me to say, listen, wherever you're working now, if you're serious, leave, start working with us tomorrow. And yeah, from then onwards, my TV production career like kicked off. So I started doing, in my editing and TV production, I started doing a whole lot of work for one of the big channels. Such big shows, you know. I've had the opportunity of meeting such great people, you know, in these shows. Robert Marawa, you know, I think that can give you an idea of the channels which I started supplying. I did everything, you know. There's an award in my house called the Best All-Rounder for the company that I'm currently with. And that's exactly what I am. I don't see myself as a niche in the market, you know. Because I was hungry, I started learning everything at Rayma. I started learning how to direct, I started learning how to produce, I started learning how to edit, final mix. You know, there's nothing I can take from the beginning of an idea to the end. I can do everything in that production line. Why I feel so good about it is because I'm able to even provide for my family on a much higher level.
Life is about seasons, and everything has its own time. And Jonathan experienced the winter of his life, and failure knocks on his door.
Every single thing that I had built for myself, every single thing that I had worked hard, very hard for, I lost it. And it literally happened like overnight. I was walking again, and people would pass me at the side of the roads to say, and it just felt like it was taking me back to that point in my life where I came from. You know, I'll never forget this day. I was walking all the way, I literally walked all the way from Four Ways, actually, to Christ Embassy, and I laid on the floor for the whole day. And I went through a place where, like, for 4 months, I was homeless. Well, I felt like this time it's over. You know, I felt like this time it's over for me. I felt broken. I wasn't eating for days, weeks actually, on end. I'd lost so much weight where I even thought I was like sick. I was just waiting for the day where I wouldn't wake up. That's basically what I was waiting for. I was waiting for the day where I wouldn't, you know, I was depleted, I was finished. I was a mess. It's a place where not many, I never saw myself coming. I never saw myself coming back from that. I felt that I'd lost it all. People who I was speaking to were telling me that, you know, it's okay, you know, just stay like this, you know, it's fine. We can like go back to your parents' place, you know. I was defeated. I was defeated.
Winter, however, prepares the ground for new life to sprout from the darkness and coldness of our experiences. The winter of Jonathan's life is where he discovers a king within himself.
Welcome back to the show. We all fear failure, and that's what Jonathan experienced when he hit rock bottom and lost everything that he had worked for. Greatness and success are built on the foundation of failure. But for Jonathan, that failure was a stepping stone to greater things and beautiful beginnings. Let's have a look.
4 months or so being in that space that I was in, I found inner strength. I don't know how to explain the strength that God gives you. Like it's like it's not over, you know. I'd become so strong internally that even outside, you know, I could feel like my energy radiating, you know, like I could tell that I can still get up, I can still, if I've done it before, I can do it again. And because I had nothing, I had to look at what was in my hand. And there's a way in which I had started mixing beard products for myself. You know, I found that in the market there was nothing that was specifically like designed for the black man, and I started mixing my own thing. But that's all I had in my hand, you know. And I'm like, okay, this is what I have. You know, maybe I can build something with this. Maybe I can start a brand that could help other men also, you know, groom their beards and stuff. And yeah, that's where in that back room with nothing, that's where Black Inchebe and the brand was born. So the name, the brand, when I started it, when I finally was able to get packaging for the first bottles, was called Blackbeard. Believe it or not, the name came to me in a dream. When I kept on feeling that thing that your beard is your grace, came to me in a dream. And I was like, because the products are suited for ethnic hair, Blackbeard makes sense, you know. And I ran with that name for a very long time. And then when I was trying to register the company, because now when I saw, oh, this thing is selling, like we're actually selling out, like I need to register this company. That's when I saw that the Blackbeard name was taken. I started going through a whole lot of names in my head, and again came to me in a dream where I knew I didn't have to change the beard part, you know, because it was Blackbeard. And it just hit me. I just woke up and I wrote it down, and it just hit me. Swap it. What do people call you every time they see you? Inchebe. Black Inchebe is a proudly South African product. Every product that is out there, and I'm talking in the thousands of products that are out there, every product has passed through my hand. Everything we do ourselves. This is not us shipping in a product from China and putting our label on it. Everything is mixed and put together by us. We're now growing into factory space. I have a team of 8 people who are very passionate about the business.
Meeting Jonathan was a life changer, a game changer for me actually, because now I was now reintroduced to the same people that I've met 10 years ago who have forgotten about me, and they're always asking, Vuyo, what are you doing now? I'm like, no man, I'm part of Black Inchebe. We out here selling and promoting hair growth, and it's a product that's unique. It's one of the first brands in South Africa to actually help black bearded men grow the beards.
I approached a specific gentleman who literally didn't want a business plan for me. He said that kings know kings, and I see myself in you. And there's a hunger in your eyes. There's something that you have that I used to see in myself when I was at your point. And he threw in hundreds of thousands into my business. And I remember coming back from that meeting just crying the whole way, because he didn't even understand the situation I was going back to. Like, I was going back to a back room. I was going back to having nothing. But here was someone who gave me his testimony and said, stay hungry, you know, and invested into my business. And from there, I was able to order quality products. From there, I was able to get proper branding. I was able to take the brand to where it's grown.
I've never seen such a person with so much drive. I thought I had drive, but Jonathan has so much drive that he doesn't mind driving from where he is right now to go to Polokwane, just to go deliver a product and deal with that one customer and come back.
I'm so humbled and grateful for how far the brand has come. Remember, this has literally been a year and 4 months since I lost everything. To be sitting here and talking about a brand that is being shipped throughout Africa and is all over South Africa. We stock currently 13 salons. We on the ground every single weekend, throwing activations, putting the name out there. We've gone from literally selling 3 bottles to selling hundreds, if sometimes thousands of bottles. To have such powerful people like your Oskidos and people in the industry not want anything from me, but just want to push the brand because they see the thirst and the hunger. All of that stuff is just so humbling. In the markets, what I will say is the biggest challenge is cracking into to big retail stores. I'm currently supplying 13 salons, and all these salons I walk in myself and tell them, this is what I have, you guys need this, leave them with a sample. When they like it, I come and then I stock them up. The goal is to supply your discams and your clicks and your pick and pays, you know, but the biggest challenge has been cracking into that space as a young business, you know, with such passionate people who believe not just in the product, but have so many testimonies behind the product.
Jonathan had built an indestructible character and resilience, and not even the national lockdown could hinder his rise and growth.
Everyone was on lockdown and things went bust, you know, for a lot of people. A lot of people weren't getting an income. But in that space, I was able to tap into the live streaming market, of which I sat and literally figured it out and was able to start supplying, you know, like you're the first live streaming stuff that went out for Kabza de Small and Maporisa. We did it, you know. Oskido and Legends Live, we did it, you know. From that came through Castle Lights with Sway from overseas. We did that stuff. We live streamed for them throughout the lockdown, and from there's come many festivals, you know, Tshwane Fontaines. I can go on and on when it comes to the live streaming stuff.
The heart of every person often beats to the drum of purpose, and to rise above one's challenges and circumstances in life requires us to have the kind of mindset that sees meaning even in hardship.
I do not have any resentment on my parents or anything as to how my life turned out. I don't think I missed out on school. I think I went to a different kind of school. I didn't go through the system. I didn't follow the system. I went through the system of life. And I think that has prepared me even better for my destiny. I have the same people who used to pass me and walk me by when I used to walk the streets, when I used to not be going to school. The same people used to be making fun of me are the same people who are handing in their CVs to me. It is not over. If a simple person like me, and that's all I am, if a simple person like me with just a grade 2 is able to turn his life around from what it was to something better, what gives you the excuse? You're able to stand up, you're able to get up and make something better of your life. So people should not look at what they should not look at their circumstances, they should not look at what they're going through, they should look at what they have in their hand and remember who and whose they are.
Many of us tend to believe that our level of success is determined by our level of education, and we tend to disqualify ourselves from making a meaningful contribution in the world. Jonathan's story demonstrates that our greatest value lies in who we are. We must never underestimate the power of our dreams. So in closing, I would like to ask you this question: what is in your hands? Until next week, goodbye.